Hi, it's Jane with the Compassion Project, and I am here with Karen Otway today. Say
Hi,
hi, Karen.
everybody.
Yeah, I'm super excited to chat with Karen. So we met a few years ago through a mutual friend, Colleen, who's an amazing person, and Karen is from Merritt, BC. And you are one busy woman. This woman is a go-getter, I have to say. So she lives with her man, Michael, and they have a beautiful blended family of five grown children and four grandchildren and one on the way. So exciting.
June.
Karen has spent the majority of her life in a career of service. She has worked as an employment counselor, a life skills facilitator, and a success coach. Currently, she is managing a program for homelessness. I think that's incredible. And she also has two side businesses and is a vice president of her local community arts council.
Mhm.
And Karen has also been in recovery for over 14 years. Congratulations. Like, honestly, that's amazing. You're incredible. You're someone that really goes after life and you do a lot and you give back. And I think it's
Yeah.
amazing.
Life's for
So,
living.
what was that?
Life is for living.
Yes, it is. You got to go after it. So, how are you enjoying 2020 so far?
Yeah, right? It kind of feels like it's like this prolonged slow motion train wreck. It's been
I
crazy.
think everyone had such hopes for 2020 is the year, and we're all like, what is happening?
hmm
Yeah,
There was a lot of plans that I put on hold.
yeah. So, when did um, when you started to realize, I know it's kind of mid-March when we all were like, what is happening? Are things actually going to close? Like, when did you kind of come to realize that this was a big
Yeah.
deal?
Um, I, I think fairly early on. I actually was already home. I was involved in an incident at work and ended up with PTSD. So I was already at home and just really kind of hyper vigilant about life because of the PTSD.
So you were, so Karen, you had something, is that when you're managing the program for homelessness? Is something, oh, there's an
Yeah,
incident there? Aw.
yeah. So so I was dealing with that and just kind of, then this started to creep in and you're hearing all these things about, a flu initially, right? And all of a sudden I don't know what Michael and I were talking one night and we're just like, this is big. This is not
Yeah.
just a little thing. And Michael is diabetic, so he has compromised health. So yeah, we take it pretty seriously here in our house.
Yeah, for sure. So just because of his health too. I think you mentioned that you've been dealing with, he's had to go to the hospital here and there for things, hasn't he?
Yeah. So yeah. So I think, when you think you're doing okay, you think, oh yeah, I got this. We're washing the groceries. Doing grocery shopping has become this all day advent. Like, what the heck? I've never liked doing groceries, but now it's an outing, which is nice. You can, brush your hair, but that, but right. I'm lucky I don't dye my hair. I let the gray grow in a long time ago, so I don't have the whole root situation that everyone's going through. So my feelings go out to those ladies for sure. But I had just said, oh, forget that 2 years ago. It was too much money. But,
Well, okay, you're lucky because you have a really beautiful shade of gray, just saying.
oh, thank you. I know some people say, oh, what? I like the color of your hair. What color do you use? I'm like, oh, thank you. I grew it myself.
Natural.
Um, but so yeah, I think the stress of all that, I ended up with shingles pretty early on.
Oh, shingles,
I thought,
yeah.
yeah. So I thought I had put my back out and it ended up being shingles.
Wow.
And then, yeah. And then, I don't know, about the second weekend on shingles, I was just starting to come out where the pain was kind of getting better.
Yeah.
And Michael started getting like all this pain and it was horrible. And I honestly, okay, thought it was man pain. I thought I'm a horrible person. Let's just put that out there.
We won't tell
He
anyone.
knows. He knows. It's kind of a thing with us. I was raised on, I was raised in the mountains on a ranch and cowboy up kind of stuff. And even, well, I was just raised in two different places, and even my normal home, like which, I don't know, we were just a cowboy up family.
Yeah.
And so anyways, I thought it was man pain, and he was going, I thought, oh yeah, because I've been in pain. So no, actually, they send us to the hospital for a CT scan in Kamloops. So we go in. It ends up he has sepsis. So,
Oh,
oh
wow.
yeah, and sepsis with someone with diabetes is life-threatening, right? It's not good. Keeping in mind, I have to sit out in the parking lot for all of these appointments. I can't go in.
Oh,
I can't
right.
ask. Yeah, you can't ask the doctor nothing. Like he's going in, his numbers were quite high. In fact, he had this in 2017, I believe he said, and he was very ill and almost died. He was in the hospital 6 weeks at that point. So yeah, he had to go 3 times a day to the hospital for antibiotics, and I had to sit in the
Whoa.
parking lot.
Yeah, it's tough because I think that's the toughest part is when we have a loved one that we want to support them and go,
Yeah,
and you
yeah,
can't be there with them. And
super hard.
I
Super
know.
hard. So, and I mean, we were lucky. He wasn't staying in there, right? There are people who
Right.
have loved ones that are in there and they're not allowed to go in. And my uncle passed away during this, and my aunt can't have a funeral. Like, there's so many things that may or may not impact our lives personally, but to remember, you know, when people say I don't want to wear a mask, I'm like, oh, okay. Do you want to visit your husband through the glass? Like my friend is doing,
Yeah.
because her husband's in a home now,
Yeah.
because he's got some health issues. So there's just lots, I think, that we're not looking at, on a daily basis, because it doesn't impact our lives. So me having to wait in the parking lot, honestly, on a scale of 1 to really horrific, is probably a 2 or a 3.
Yeah.
But it made me think about that. It made me think, so what if and I lost my husband a few years ago. And so for me, that triggered all that because it was a health issue. And so I'm going through all this stuff in the car in the parking lot.
Oh, I
And
know
he's
it.
going all through his stuff, knowing how sick he was last time. And it was, I didn't realize how exhausting it was until he got on the other side of the infection. I mean, he's still on
Yeah.
antibiotics, but I didn't realize what a toll that takes on our body and our mind.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Yeah.
all
The
consuming.
stress. hmm
The stress.
You
Like you're
hold it
going to
in,
the
like
hospital.
you hold it
Yeah,
in sometimes. I know. Well, I think,
that's
Karen,
for sure.
especially if, you know, honestly, that you lost your husband. How many years ago did you lose your husband?
For
4, and how long were you married?
9 years.
I like to go through that, and then now you're with Michael. Seems like an amazing man, and it's scary. And yeah, and so that caused a lot of stress. And shingles is stress related, I think. Isn't
Oh,
that interesting how the
100%.
body it comes out?
So many people I've seen on Facebook have posted that they have shingles, and apparently there's like this. Yeah, there's this little shingles pandemic going on underneath the COVID from stress,
Stress
right?
related, absolutely. So have you found a way that works for you to cope with stress? Like, do what do you do if you're feeling
So
stressed? Are you, yeah.
I was kind of lucky in that um I had been diagnosed with PTSD just before COVID. And I'm lucky in that I was already working on those processes.
Oh,
So,
okay, yeah,
right, I was
yeah,
already doing those things. So one of the things I did was just kind of reignite some passions. And so one of the passions is art. And so I started to get back into my art, um, and um, and even trying new art. And that's been huge. Like you can see all my art stuff behind
and
me.
art is very calming and centering. So I think the importance of when your mind is out of control, which a lot of people are, it'll bring you to the present moment more, just like,
Yes,
right? Which
you have
is
to
good.
focus.
Yeah.
It's focusing. For me, anything sports that one of the sports I love is archery, because it makes my mind, you have to focus on your body mechanics, your breathing, all of that.
And the
Um,
present moment,
the
100%.
present moment. And so with art, same thing. You're creating something beautiful, but also you're focused on what you're doing, and it's something positive. And so for me, that that's probably the biggest thing. The other thing is connecting with people and making that adjustment
Yeah.
to connect with people online. And
Yeah.
and I know some people have balked at it, and oh, it feels fake. I just want to be with them. Yeah, okay, I'll give you that. It sure does. But given the alternative,
Yeah.
so the other thing I'm lucky about is my recovery.
Yeah.
So being on meetings daily has that was a turning point, because when I had the shingles, I was like, oh my, we're kind of breaking down. We hadn't really adjusted to the new way of life.
Right.
And I try not to call it, I just, I saw someone post one day like, oh, this is my new life instead of the new normal. And I thought, yeah, I like that better. It feels more positive. So
Yeah.
this is my new life. My new
Yeah.
life is I connect with my friends online.
Yeah. So for
Okay.
you, being in recovery for 14 years, and so before this, were you going to regular meetings weekly or daily, or what were you
Yeah.
doing?
So I went to regular meetings weekly, um, and worked with sponsees and stuff. So, I was usually in contact. However, one of the things was I've only lived in Merritt for 2 years.
Oh, okay.
And so I don't have a whole lot of connections here because, you're busy, you're working, at least for me, right? I'm busy working.
Yeah.
So one of the great things about online is I could meet with everyone that I know in the recovery community around the world,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So all of a sudden I can go back to my meetings in Prince George. I could go back to my meetings on the island. I could go back to my meetings in Kamloops, right?
Yeah.
Um and so
Okay, Karen,
that
so we're just curious because I don't know this, but were meetings for people in recovery always online? Like, have they been
no.
online for a while, or did they go online after this?
Yeah, no. So there have been online meetings. There is online kind of chat meetings. There was not, to my knowledge, online Zoom meetings. I could be wrong about that,
Yeah.
but to my knowledge, they were more of a chat room meeting because some people
Oh,
work
yeah.
remotely or live remotely and can't get to regular in-person meetings.
Right.
So yeah, this is all new. So there's some people who, um, they're not comfortable with technology for one. And
Right.
so that was new for them. Like I had, people in our group. I also belong to Al-Anon, which is friends and family. So that's been nice to be able to get reconnected with those
Yeah.
people in my old communities. But there are some people who just, yeah, I don't know if I like it. I don't know if it'll be okay. But most of them, the ones that I've been with, once they get on and they do a Zoom meeting, it's like, oh, it's like you and I talking now.
Yeah.
I feel like
They
I'm
get more
talking to you.
comfortable.
I can't
Yeah.
give you a hug, which I wish I could, but it's still better than nothing. It's
Then
better
I
than
mean,
having no contact.
I can't imagine how hard it would be because this is a time where you are social distancing, you're people that are going through any type of addiction, like any type of addiction to,
Yeah.
and especially if they're new into, like, because I mean, my mom has been in recovery for many years now. I think I was 13, so 43 years, and she still goes regularly to her meetings. Not now, but before this.
Yeah.
But I couldn't imagine how hard it would be on those new people
Yeah.
or people that need them every week because you need the
Yeah.
physical, don't you?
Yeah. Well,
That's,
I mean, I think the physical thing is a big part of it, but I think it's that connecting with someone on a spiritual or emotional level, right? And I agree with you. The new people, that's really hard for someone, because one of the
Yeah.
things that is recommended is that you get a sponsor right away.
Right.
And it's hard to get to know someone um, to that degree, I think. The other
Yeah.
thing is alcoholism right now is rampant.
Yeah.
Um,
It is. I know.
Statistically, before COVID, statistically, fetal alcohol syndrome is on the rise, if you can believe it, because of parenting with alcohol promoting culture, right? Like,
Yeah.
oh, it's wine o'clock, or you want to,
Yeah.
oh God, the
Yeah.
kids, I got to drink at 3, but that makes it okay. And many of the people who are saying that are not alcoholics, and they're joking, or whatever. But
Yeah.
it gives permission to those people who are struggling. And so already, before you're isolated, you're emotionally distanced from everybody. If you have an addiction that maybe you were on the fence, maybe you weren't quite sure, or maybe you were holding it together because you had to work or whatever,
Yeah.
those gloves are off right now,
I know. That's
right? So I find there's a lot of young moms coming in to the
oh
rooms, a lot
really?
of young people.
Now, do you know, because I know they are in BC loosening some of the restrictions. Do you know if they are going to start doing meetings where they are set up social distancing? Like,
So how AA works is it's always a group conscience, right? So everything is the greatest good for the greatest number. So if you're making a decision about your group, that's going to be specific to your group. There are certain guidelines that we
oh,
all follow
mhm.
from AA, but each group makes a decision. My group, we've decided starting the beginning of June, so it'll actually be June 1st because mine's a Monday meeting. We're going to do a socially distanced meeting. We're a
Oh,
fairly small group, and so it's easy for us to space everyone out. We normally serve lunch at ours because we're all, I don't know, codependent, and but we're not going to do that. So some changes. I think there are other groups. I know my Al-Anon group. We were gonna try tonight, but it's raining. To go to the park and just sit in a circle in
oh
our
yeah,
lawn
yeah,
chairs,
yeah,
and I know that some groups are doing a little bit of that as well, but that's hard for a newcomer to find out about, because if you're not
yeah.
online, where do they find? How do they know you're meeting at Betty's house at 7 o'clock? Like, they don't know.
It's
So
unbelievable the ripple effect of this, the
yeah.
pandemic and the social distancing, and how it's affecting so many things that we aren't even aware of. It's crazy. So
Hmm.
anyway, the one thing I also want to touch about is I know you're writing a book. Do you want to tell me a bit about that? What is the book
Yeah.
about? It's
So
exciting.
it's a book. Yeah, it's super exciting. It's so how it kind of started for me was the project was as a result of me learning more about women in the Middle East, and the powerlessnesses that they experienced there, and the abuse that they experienced there, and the fact that they're not allowed an education. So that's kind of how it started.
Yeah.
And I wanted to do something to raise funds to help educate women in Afghanistan and other Middle Eastern countries. So I decided to write a book, and I decided to write a book about women and for women. So it's a book of lessons, really. That's what it
Oh,
is. It's a
okay.
book of, it will be a book of life lessons.
Oh,
And
wow.
so my hope is I'm interviewing women from all over the world, because there's a lot of similarities.
Yeah,
No
it's
matter where
true.
you are, our life experiences are very similar in nature, as far as our path and our trajectory in life, and worse in some areas, better in some areas, but there's a lot of
Yeah.
similarities.
And we really
So
are connected on a deeper level than I think anyone realizes. I found that doing this project, the connection with, like, there was a woman in Malaysia, that Bomini,
yeah,
unbelievable. I have become so connected with her just from meeting like this. So you're interviewing women on how they've dealt with certain situations,
so
strategies.
it's just a series of questions. Basically it is I don't want to kind of give away too much of it, but basically it's telling a bit of your story, and things that you wish you had learned, right?
Oh
And fun.
yeah. That's
Yeah. And
beautiful. I
yeah, I want it to be a book that you would buy for your friend or your daughter or your niece. That's,
yeah.
so that's the purpose of the book. And I agree. I think we're all connected. I always call this our sisters in our worldwide family of women, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's true. And I because women intrinsically we need each other. So I think that
Yeah.
that's a
I
super
agree.
super important vision.
Yeah. Amazing. So, do you have a name? I'll just put this up here. People can reach out to Karen if you
Yeah,
want to be interviewed for Karen's book, or if you know someone that maybe would want to, that has a story that wants to be
yeah,
interviewed. Do you have a title
for
for it
sure.
yet, or you're not giving that away?
I'm not giving that
Okay,
away.
no, that's good. You don't need to. Okay.
But
Okay.
it will be an interview form, so you don't have to just make a submission. I will actually, we'll do it either like this or on Zoom or whatever. We'll talk or on the phone, whatever you're comfortable with. And there's a series of questions I'll ask, and yeah, it'll be fun.
I think it's amazing that, yeah, because I think women, we do need each other. We do need to connect, share stories, and learn what we've gone through. And
Mm,
yeah, I know. Okay, you're amazing. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for
thank
joining me
you.
today.
It's so good to
And
see you, and I miss your face.
I know I haven't seen you, but look at we're connected now. It's kind of
Here we
cool.
are. We're good.
Okay, thank you so
Oh,
much.
thank
We'll
you so
sign off.
much, Jane. Thanks for having me.
Okay. Bye. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.